Okay, so before this retrospective actually kicks off, I just want to say a couple of things. One, yo, what up everybody? It's your boy JT, and this is my I stress, very late Crash 4 retrospective, which leads into the second thing I want to talk about. The reason why this retrospective is late, for people who don't know, I'm going to sum it up as quickly as I can. I wanted to do this retrospective back in February. I was getting the footage, it was about halfway done, but then, I'm not going to lie, at the same time, Persona 5 Strikers dropped. And I'm a big Persona 5 fan. I've played all variations of it. And once that game dropped, I said, fuck that. I'm not dealing with a retrospective right now. Persona 5 Strikers has taken up all my time. And I have a very strong, bad addiction to Persona 5. And just a side note real quick, I have 600 plus hours into all variations of Persona 5. So yeah, it's a problem, but it's my problem. And after I was done with Strikers, I continued finally working on the Crash 4 retrospective. But then, as I was continuing footage, Toys for Bob's Twitter announced, oh, we're releasing a PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, and PC version of Crash 4. And for people who don't know, I own a PS5. The stuff I was recording beforehand was the PS4 version I originally bought when the game dropped. And I wanted to get that version, but it came out a month from when I was doing the retrospective and when that tweet was made. So I decided to wait until that version came out. I paused the retrospective, went to go get the PS5 version when that dropped, then I recorded some more footage. But you guys ever, worked on a project before or anything of the capacity, and as you were working on it, like, it wasn't starting to jive with you, you know what I mean? Like, you were putting it together, you could see the pieces, but you can't really put them together, like, you weren't really feeling it, and you decided to just start over from scratch. That's what happened to me with the Crash 4 retrospective. So I got rid of all the old footage, and I took a break from the game for a few months, and I just started over. Once I started to get the groove back, because I started playing Crash 4 again, and I was feeling the creative juices flowing. I wanted to get my opinions out there, so I started the retrospective back up. So the footage I want to tell you guys right now is from the PS5 and PC versions of the game, because I own both versions, because I wanted to talk about and compare both later down the retrospective. But yeah, that's the reason why this shit is late. Now that that's out of the way, I just want to let you guys know, I am in no means a professional. We are called the OK3. I am only okay. So as I'm talking through this, I got notes, but I don't have a script per se. For anyone who's seen my Origami King retrospective, I don't have a script. I just kind of say what's on my mind. So if I stumble, repeat something, or shit like that, just remember, I'm only okay. I'm going to talk about the story. It's not a big story, so I should be able to go to it relatively fast. So I'm just going to start from the beginning, get to the end, and then we're going to talk about the game itself. So here we go. So this is Crash Bandicoot 4. Technically the fourth game, because Wrath of Cortex is the fourth game, but let's be honest, most of us, if not all of us watching this video right now, do not like Wrath of Cortex. And if you're in the minority that actually do like it, more power to you. I really don't. This is the real Crash 4 in my eyes. So Crash 4 picks up pretty much right where Crash 3 ends. And for people who don't know, at the end of Crash 3, you stop all the bosses, you stop Cortex. If you get the 100% ending, Cortex and Uka Uka and Entropy get sent back in time to like prehistoric age. They turn into babies, they have a little tug of war with Uka Uka, and that's that. That's the end of Cortex for the trilogy. Crash 4 picks up pretty much right after that. I say pretty much, but Entropy and Cortex are all grown up now. They've been there for a hot minute, and Uka Uka uses up all his power to essentially try to open up a rift so they can escape, and he ends up doing that, but because that took so much energy out of him, Uka Uka is down for the count. He's just unconscious, and that's it. Like, that's it. You don't see Uka Uka again. Like, until one other particular part, but like, I'll get into that later. We cut to Crash and Aku Aku just, chilling on Insanity Beach, but then Aku Aku senses that something's wrong, and he wants Crash to go check it out. So Crash heads up the beach, and he finds another mask like Aku Aku, a quantum mask called Lani Loli, who explains that there are rifts that are open all over the world because of Uka Uka's stunt to try to escape, that these rifts are open and they need to be closed because if they're open, some evil putz with a big ego can do something monumentally stupid, as Lani Loli puts it. And that's where Cortex's and Entropy's plan comes into play. They want to use the rifts to essentially control time and space. That is essentially what they want to do with these rifts, to make their own ideal reality. But Lani Loli tells them that the only way to close these rifts is to get his other 3 siblings, and with their powers together, they can close the rifts and, stop this catastrophe from happening. So that is pretty much the story in a nutshell. You just collect Lonnie Loli's siblings with the help of Coco, and you try to close the rifts together. Along the way, you encounter a few more people who you also get to play as later on. There's Tana, who isn't the Tana from this universe, but a Tana from another dimension who comes to this dimension to try to help Crash and Coco out, because it's straight up said in her dimension that the entropy in her world straight up kills Crash and Coco. Like, they're dead in that universe, and she came to this universe just to make sure, like, this Crash and Coco didn't, like, you know, get fucking ended too. So she's here to help. There's also Dingodile, who personally, you know, is one of my favorite characters in Crash. He's retired now, and I actually like the idea of this, because since this game treats it as the other future games after Crash 3 are non-canon, that means Dingodile fought Crash once, said fuck that, and decided to retire, and just that thought makes me laugh personally. But he's retired, he's not a villain anymore. He turned in his blowtorch for a giant-ass vacuum, and he actually owns a restaurant in the deep bayou, but I wouldn't recommend eating there. It's rated D for delicious. So you should totally go there, I'm lying. But he gets sucked into this just because Cortex's lackeys happen to fuck around in his restaurant. They end up blowing it up. He gets his revenge, but then one of the vortexes opens up and, like, ends up teleporting throughout, like, all of time and space. Really? Dingodile's just trying to go home. That's it. He just wants to go home. And the other player you can play as is Cortex, and the reason why is something I'll get into right now. So after you save the third quantum mask, you fight off against Cortex. And after you beat Cortex, Entropy tells Cortex that he planned on betraying him the whole time, and that he doesn't necessarily want to control all in time space. He wants to reset the timeline, like make it his ideal timeline just for him, and that he's found a new partner to work with. So he drops Cortex, and Cortex is like, well, fuck that. I'm gonna work with these bandicoots, and we're gonna stop them together, because nobody dumps me. So you save the fourth quantum mask, and then you take the fight to Entropy at his base, who it's revealed that the person he's teamed up with was himself from an alternate dimension, Tana's dimension. And I just want to say right now, these two want to fuck. Like, seriously, it's not even subtle. Like, Entropy and the female version of him, oh, they are thirsty for each other. Like, holy shit. I mean, like, you know, self-cess is a thing, so, you know, good on your Toys for Bob. I mean, like, shit, I mean, if there was a female version of me, you know, I'm just saying. You fight them, you stop them, you save the world, the quantum mask, close up all the rifts all over the world, and you go and celebrate. But because you have to remember that Cortex is still Cortex, he ends up taking one of the quantum masks and using it to travel back in time, back to 1996. Tries to tell his past self not to create Crash, and tries to stop Crash in general from being created so he can stop giving him shit. And the banter between the past and present Cortex is funny, because the past Cortex is very stubborn, and he believes that the present Cortex is just some sort of evil doppelganger, so they're just, like, bickering back and forth while the present is trying to convince the past one that he's not a doppelganger. And, like, I don't know, the banter is just funny to me. I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
I'm a stubborn moron who's going to destroy his own future. I'm a stubborn moron. Hey, wait a minute.
But you go back to 1996, you stop the present Cortex from stopping the past Cortex from making Crash, and the quantum mask, like, yeet Cortex into another dimension so he can't start trouble ever again. The day is saved, and Crash, Coco, Tana, and the quantum mask are just chilling at the beach and having a good time, and that's the end of the game. Rest in peace, Mel Winkler. Thanks for protecting the Bandicoots for nearly 30 years. It was a pleasure and an honor working with you, good sir. Hope you rest easy. But yeah, that's pretty much Crash 4 in a nutshell. And before I get into details, this game is very fun. I love this game for the most part, but for details I'll get into in a bit. It does have some faults, but I wanted to get into the playable characters. So, you play as Crash, Coco, Tana, Cortex, and Dingodile. Crash and Coco are just a skin swap. They do the exact same moves, just different animations for it. They can jump, they can double jump, they can flop or butt, they can spin, they can slide, and they can slide, jump, and crawl. I will bring up this right now. The slide jump, if you've played the original trilogy, is not the same slide jump from the trilogy. In the trilogy, when you slide jump, you carry the momentum over after the jump, and you also get extra height when you do it. That still kind of applies in Crash 4. When you slide and jump, you still get the height. You just don't really get the momentum. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like after the jump, you go a bit further ahead, but not as far as you would in the trilogy. So it did take some getting used to, especially if you play this game immediately after the trilogy. You will feel the difference because Crash and Coco in this game do not control like how they do in the trilogy. They do feel different, and that's actually fucked me up back when I played the demo of this game before the game dropped. I died a lot of times because I just played Insane Trilogy, and jumping to this game immediately after did fuck me. But it is something you will get used to, and like that version of the slide jump is pretty much damn near essential to get through some parts in the game later. Tawna doesn't exactly control like them. Like, she has a ground pound of her own, but she has like a little spin kick that's like a little one spin thing, but she also has a grappling hook, which, you know, it's a fucking grappling hook. It's cool as shit. I'm not gonna deny that. Which you use to break boxes off screen, or just like attack enemies with, or just to, you know, as a grappling hook, grapple to another area. And she can just do the classic jump on enemies maneuver, but that's pretty much how she controls. Pretty much everybody has the basic controls of Crash and Coco. Cortex does not have a double jump. It has a kind of a pitiful one jump. His main means of attack is using his blaster, which doesn't straight up kill enemies. It just turns them into solid, if not like bouncy platforms. And he uses that to get across levels. And he also has this dash that if you press circle, he can do a random dash. It's never explained how he can do this or why, but he has a dash you can do, which on the ground is fast. In the air, and I know this can fuck up some people, if you do the dash in the air, Cortex will do this weird flailing animation before he drops, and I know that can fuck up some people's timing. Like, you get used to it if you know how the timing works, but I know that flail in the air can fuck up people's timing when they're trying to get from platform to platform. But on the ground, he doesn't do that. He immediately stops after the dash, but you will get used to it. And then my boy Dingodile can spin like Crash. You know, he can jump on enemies like normal, but his main means of attack is his vacuum, which can suck up crates and suck up small enemies to spit them back out at each other. You can also do that with TNT crates, but I feel like I should tell you guys right now, for people who plan on playing Crash 4, if you're interested, if you suck up TNT with the vacuum, the TNT will start counting down. This applies to the TNT barrels too. I almost forgot about those. He can suck up TNT barrels that don't count down like the crates, but if you fire off either one of them, the explosion you launch will not hurt you. So if you suck up a TNT crate or barrel and then like shoot it immediately at a wall that you're close to, that explosion will not kill you. The other explosions will kill you if you jump on them or spin them like normal, but the explosion you threw at your vacuum will not kill you. So keep that in mind if you plan on playing this game when you get to play as Dingodile. Oh, and before I forget, you can also hover with the hover pack. Dingodile only has a single jump like Cortex and Tawna and Dingodile. Really, it's only Crash and Coco that can double jump. But after the first jump, you can hold the jump button after the first jump to hover over. Or if you want to time it more properly, you can jump once, let go of the jump button, and then hold it the second time to do the hover. That's how I do it to get more precise jumps. They're all fun to control, honestly, in their own way. I think the weakest being Cortex. I mean, like, his levels are fun, but him himself to control is like, it's just I didn't think much of it, but it was okay. But yeah, the quantum mask that you rescue, you can actually use them in game, and they all have their different abilities. Like, think of it as the counter to the elemental mask from the other Crash 4, Wrath of Cortex. Except these help you, and I like them a lot more. So the first one you save, Lonnie Loli, can switch items in and out of reality. Essentially, like you can see right here, you can either switch them to be transparent or switch them to, like, you know, be solid material. It can be like crates or objects or platforms, but like that's essentially all he does. The second mask you rescue, Akano, pretty much gives you the Death Tornado spin on crack. Like, you can't do the Death Tornado spin in this game, so Akano is pretty much the power-up version of that. Once you press R2, you immediately spin around and around for as long as you want until you turn him off. And when you have him on, you can do like a hover double jump, and I wouldn't say he's invincible. Like, don't use him to spin into TNT crates and nitro. You're gonna die. Like, Akano doesn't make you invincible. He just gives you the Death Tornado spin. You can break steel crates with it, and you can like hover over large gaps. The third mask is Kapuno Wa. Personally, one of my favorites, with Akano coming second. She allows you to stop time temporarily. Not stop it per se, but you can slow down time when you use Kapuno Wa for a few seconds, and it's actually really fun to do. But there's nothing more to say to that. She can slow down time, and you know, you go across certain hazards and shit when you have to when you use her. And then there's Ika Ika, which is the anti-gravity mask. You press them, you flip upside down, you're on the ceiling, you press it again, you're back on the floor. That one's fine. I personally don't have a problem with anti-gravity. Well, depending on the game, I do. But in Crash 4, it's not that big of a deal. Only Crash and Coco can use the Quantum Mask. Tawna, Dingodile, and Cortex cannot. And, you know, there's still Aku Aku, you know, the classic mask, the OG. You know, grab him, you can take a hit, grab another, you can take 2 hits, grab a third one, you're invincible. Only in this game, you don't go faster when you have a third mask. At least I didn't notice anyway. I'm pretty sure you don't go fast. In the old games, if you grabbed 3 Aku Akus, you can run faster. But in this game, no, I think you're just invincible. But it still plays that nice theme that I love so much. Along this game, there's also a couple of new things. The classic crates are back. You know, you break them, you get Wumpa Fruit, you get 100, you get an extra life. But there's also a new flame crate, which flame shoots out of all directions from the crate. And you have to wait until the flame goes away to break it. And then once you do break it, I think you get 10 Wumpa Fruit when you break it. And then there's the Nitro Bounce Crate, which aren't in actual levels. They're in these things called VHS tapes that I'll explain in a bit. The way these works is you have a certain amount of jumps you can do on these crates. You can bounce them, I think, a total of 3 times. But after the 3rd jump, the crate turns into a Nitro Crate. And then you have to move on to the next platform or the next crate. It's actually very clever. I like these crates, actually, because it makes you have to think quick on what your next move is going to be, because again, you can only jump 3 times, and then after that, it turns into a Nitro Crate. But like I said, these aren't in actual levels, these are in VHS tapes, which you find throughout some levels. And how you get VHS tapes, they work like death routes from Crash 2 and Crash 3. Essentially, you have to try to grab the VHS tape without dying. If you die before reaching the tape is transparent and you can't get it anymore. But if you're able to grab it, you do these VHS tape levels, I can speak, where you play as both Crash and Coco at some points, and it's tapes that lead back to 1996, which pretty much explains Crash and Coco's life in Cortex's lab before they make their escape in Crash 1 and Crash 2. It's just Crash and Cortex going through... Crash and Cortex, blah. It's just Crash and Coco going through Cortex's test to see if they're, like, worthy of being, like, the generals of his army and shit. These are fun little trials, if not hard. Like I said, those Nitro Bounce crates, and especially if you're trying to break every box before finishing the level, they can be really challenging, and some can be a little bullshit. One little thing, and this is a big deal in Crash, is that you can slide off TNT crates. Don't try that shit in the older games, you'll blow up. But you can slide off TNT crates after you've activated them. And I was afraid to do that at first because, you know, I have prior knowledge of the old games. But in this game, you can slide off TNT crates. Nice little maneuver you can do. It's the little things that count. They also added a new drop circle. I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of games that do this. When you jump, there's like this yellow highlighted circle below you. No matter how high you are, you will know where you're going to land as long as you look at that circle and see the position it's in so you can save yourself. I like that addition, but if you're feeling more old school and kind of risky, you can choose to turn that option off for a more classic experience. But for an addition, I like this. It saved my ass. Like, I think I became too reliant on some points because, like, I would still fall down here and there or mistime my jumps, but that was more of my fault, not the game's fault. But like I said, I think I was being overly reliant on it, but like, I couldn't help myself. It's a nice little addition. I don't want to fall in the pit, so fuck it. I'm gonna look at my drop shadow. What you gonna do? So, I'll say this right now. This game has a fuckload of gems, like a fuckload. I think the most gems, or like the average amount of gems in a Crash game, are somewhere in like the 20s, I think. I haven't played the trilogy in a bit to remember, but I think an average gem count by the end of a trilogy Crash games is like in the 20s. This game has over 200 gems, 200 regular gems, and 200 inverted gems, and I'll get into the inverted gems in a bit. Each level, you can get 6 gems in. 6. You get 3 for collecting 80% of the Wumpa Fruit, 1 for breaking all the boxes, you know, as it used to be, 1 for finishing the level in 3 deaths or less, and 1 for finding the hidden gem in every level. So like I said, this totals to 6 gems you can get total in a level. All in all, I like the additions of these new gems because it makes you want to like play more carefully and like explore the levels more, especially if you're going for the hidden gems, because like some of those gems can be hidden, others can be bullshit. I'll get into that later. You can also get this thing called a perfect relic, which for some bizarre reason harkens back to the original 96 Crash 1, where you get a perfect relic by breaking all the crates in the level and getting to the end without dying. If you die while trying to break all the crates even once, you are not getting the perfect relic. Again, it's a callback to the OG 1996 Crash 1, because for people who don't know, the original Crash 1, in order to get the gem, you cannot die if you are breaking all the boxes. If you die once, you're not getting the gem. And I think this was supposed to be a callback to it, and you don't need perfect relics to beat the game. But if you're going for like 100% completion or 106% completion, you need to do this. I'll just say it right now. It's not that hard. My first playthrough, I did have a bit of trouble, but it's not that hard. I believe you can do it with enough patience and time. Yeah, those are a thing now. Nice little callback. Thanks for that, Toaster Bob. But there's also inverted levels. After you beat Embryo in World, I think 3 or 4, I can't remember. But after you beat Embryo, you unlock inverted levels, which are essentially just the same levels, but, you know, flipped. They're inverted. But each one of them has their own cool aesthetic. Like the first world is like a bat sonar looking world where every time you spin, it creates a sonar and you can reveal more of the world. World 2 has like dark highlighted colors. I didn't know the best way to describe it. That's just what my notes say. Fuck it. World 3, one of my personal favorites. It's a blank canvas world. And every time you spin, you spit out paint. And that colors in the world, and I think that's visually cool. And also a bit, like, it can fuck with your brain, because a part of me, every time I spat out paint, whenever I spinned, I would think that was a projectile, and I tried to kill enemies with it, but it didn't work. It's purely just a paint in the world, but it fucked with me, so, like, that's my fault. World 4 has, like, washed out colors. Again, I don't know I don't know the proper term for it, but like World 4's gimmick is like washed out colors. I think it looks cool still. I think it looks pretty. World 5 makes everything look old-timey, like an old film reel, and it also doubles the speed of both enemies and you. So you go a little faster when you play in this inverted level. So it can be a little tricky, but like, again, you'll get used to it. World 6, again, another one of my favorites, is the comic book world, where every time you jump on a crate or hit an enemy or anything of the shape or form, it'll show you like a pow, a punch, or like the sound effects you would see like in old Batman cartoons or in comics. It would show like one of those things, and I like that. World 7 looks like a coloring book, like a child's crudely drawn coloring book, and it's kind of charming and cute in its own way. I like it. World 8.
Why is everything chrome?
World 9. I hate this inverted version. Visually, it's cool. You're underwater and shit, but you also move slower. You move so slow when you are underwater. And in this one stage where you both play as Dingodile and Tawna, one after another, it is very obviously slow. I don't like World 9 as an actual level. And then the final world is like an old retro video game where you gotta score up top. Things look a little pixelated, and every time you kill something or break a crate, you get points for it. I think that was cute and fun. But yeah, those are the inverted levels, which, by the way, comes with their own sets of gems, like the over 200 for the regular gems. Because the inverted levels also have their own set of gems, those also over 200 of inverted gems. Together, you have over 400 gems to collect in this game if you are going for everything. Like, it sounds like a lot, and don't get me wrong, it is a lot. But for me personally, my first playthrough anyway, it did take a lot of time, but for the most part, I still had fun doing it. Like, I think the only gems that actually gave me shit getting were the hidden ones, because some of them are cleverly hidden, others are bullshit, but I'll get in, again, more into that later. But like I said earlier, this will go into what I'm about to say now. You can play as Tawna, Cortex, and Dingodile in this game. However, except for one moment where both Tawna, Dingodile, and I think Cortex, if I remember correctly, yeah, each character has their own like level to play with, but every other Tawna, Cortex, and Dingodile level, you flip to Crash and Coco at some point. Tawna, Cortex, and Dingodile have one level that's dedicated to just them from beginning to end. Every other Tawna, Dingodile, and Cortex level will eventually lead into playing as Crash and Coco again, because some levels that you play as Crash and Coco, you realize that at some points, something random will happen off screen that ends up helping them, but they have no idea where it came from or why it happened. When that happens, you unlock the other character's perspective of that level, and it shows how Crash and Coco, that random phenomenon that happened to them. Like, right here. Crash or Coco are about to get hit by this giant-ass monster truck, but for some reason it gets held back by something. And then you play that level as Tawna from her perspective, and then you find out she hooked the monster truck so it couldn't run you over. Like, shit like that. It explains like that from their perspective. So aside from one level for each character the first time you use them, every Tawna, Cortex, and Dingodile level will lead into, like, playing as Crash and Coco. And just continuing from a level they've already done before. They don't all look exactly the same. Box locations are changed, and the hidden gem is also changed if it's not in the alternate character's level already. The level design wise, it's exactly the same. The only thing that changes are the placement of boxes, both in the actual level and in bonus stages. This is the part I really wanted to get into. I'm gonna go over the pros and cons real quick. So here's one pro. Controls are tight. The controls are tight. Like, I think Crash Coco, all of them feel pretty damn good. Weight seems right. Movement seems right. I can't really complain about the controls. They're pretty good. Also, this game looks fucking beautiful. In my opinion, this is the prettiest looking Crash game we have. Like, no fucking contest. Like, it's gorgeous. I love the way everything pops out and how some environments can look really colorful and everything. Like, your eyes are fixated on pretty much everything in this game, and I love it. Good level design all around. I say all around. There's still some levels that aren't my favorite, but I wouldn't say they're bad. But, like, some of them didn't captivate me as much as other levels. But all around, pretty damn good level design. And the writing is pretty damn funny, too. Pretty much, I want to say on par to Twin Sanity, if not a little less. But it's like, it's still pretty on par. But there are moments and dialogue in the game that make me laugh. Because, you know, Crash Bandicoot is also a series made for yucks. You know, like, it wants to make you laugh, and I appreciate that.
Listen up, lackeys. There's an imposter me on the loose. Identical in appearance. Beady eyes, lips like two overripe bananas, skin like a jaundiced mole rat, a bona fide terror.
The alternate costumes you can wear. When you collect gems, either inverted or regular, or both in some regards, when you collect a certain amount, you unlock an alternate costume for Crash and Coco. They're the only ones that get alternate costumes. Later on, you have to collect a certain amount of both regular gems and inverted gems to get future costumes. Like, you can do either or as long as the total, like, equals to the amount you need for that costume. After you've collect a certain amount, bam, get a new costume. It's purely aesthetic. They don't have any abilities or anything tied to them. It's purely aesthetic. But they're, like, fun to do. Like, it's, again, little things. That if I can wear an alternate costume in a game that can change the experience all around just visually, then, you know, I'm down for it. Especially this pirate one. I mean, look at it. Look at that name. How do you not like this costume? I fucking love it. Character models in this game, they all have that cartoony squash and stretch to them, especially from Crash. Like, I already love Crash, but this game just continues that. I love the way this, like, guy expresses himself. He doesn't talk like normal, but, like, he doesn't need to talk with the way his reactions are and how he moves and everything. But everybody in this game, oh, fluent movement. It feels like I'm watching a cartoon straight up from time to time. And, like, oh, that's just enjoyable. Fucking love it. But, folks, here's where I'm gonna get for real with you. There are pros in this game, and I love it all around. But there are also cons. And I feel like the one I need to tell you right now is, I'm gonna say it. I would never recommend you 106% this game. I slightly would recommend to 100% it for the most part, but 106%? No, don't fucking do it, ever. I don't recommend it, and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, as I mentioned before, there were some hidden gems I had trouble finding. Like, I get that they're hidden, but, like, some of them are just bullshit spots, and I mean real bullshit spots. Like, this one level in Run It By You in World 5, you would not think of how to find this one. It's like somewhere in the middle of the level. You hit this exclamation box, you run backwards, you pan the camera to the right, because if you don't do that, you won't see it. And when you pan the camera to the right, the exclamation box you hit reveals steel crates you can step on of that you have to slide jump over to get, and the gem is above those steel crates. Now, let me tell you, unless you pan the camera around, how the fuck would you know that that's there? Like most Crash games, if you hit an exclamation box for the most part, you would think the thing that you revealed is up ahead. But no, this one's behind you off screen. Fuck that, that's so dumb. Or another one here in Building Bridges, the inverted level in World 6, the tunnel level. There's this one gem that at the end of it, during an animal riding section, that is behind a fallen tree to the left. And because it's an animal riding section, you wouldn't, you know, you're going relatively fast, and unless you have, like, sharp eyes for it, you can just barely miss it. Like, I had to look up a guide to find that one, because I think it's horseshit. Especially if you're trying to go for the perfect relic at the same time, if you didn't get it in the regular level, there's no way you are getting the gem and breaking the crate at the same time. If you can somehow do that, you are God, and, like, you know, good on you. But fuck that. And there's another one in Stay Frosty, the inverted level in World 6, where it's near the beginning. You're grinding on a rail, you jump over one of the doors, and unless you drop immediately after you jump on the second rail, you are not getting the gem. Like, you don't even see it. Immediately when you jump, you have to time your jump just right. And the moment you hit the rail again, you duck down, grab the gem, and like, bam, that's all she wrote. But the timing on it and the fact that you can't really see it, again, because like the animal riding section, grinding is automatic, you can't get the gem. You have to restart. Again, this is another one I looked up. Fuck that. And then there's one more bullshit gem, Rush Hour, the inverted level for Dingodile and Tawna. This one, again, looked it up. Bullshit. It's right here at the beginning. We're already having to deal with the slow-ass inverted stage of World 9. It's at the very beginning. You stand on this platform, you wait for it to fall, and as it's sinking down, you grab the gem because it's hidden in the platform. You can only get it when it falls. You either A, can time your jump just right and get the gem and make it to the platform on the other end safely, but if it's your first playthrough and unless you look it up, you're not gonna make that. Fuck that. Or B, you take the gem, you die, you start over, because like, you know, gems stay with you after death. That's been a thing since the first game. Oh god, that gem was so dumb. I'm getting mad just thinking about it again. But gems aren't the only problem. There's also some very bullshit box placements, like a real grind in World 2. There's these ones near the end of the game where I kept forgetting 2 boxes, and I for the life of me couldn't find them. That's because they are near where this bonus stage platform is. There's 2 stacks of tires, one to the left, one to the right. There's one hidden in one stack to the left. And then you ride the bonus platform, do the bonus stage, and then the platform goes to the left, and then where the bonus platform used to be is another box. If you didn't break that box to the left on those stack of tires before hopping onto the bonus stage, guess what? You can't get that box anymore because now the platform is on the other side. That's bullshit. I hated that. And there's another one in Off Balance in World 4. There's 2 of them actually, and they're both up top. Again, a lot of these are off screen. You can't see them unless you saw it prior before getting to that area. Like if you were further back before getting into that position, like further back in the level and you looked up, you wouldn't see those. This game heavily encourages you to use the camera a lot to catch those bullshit boxes. There's a box here and a box there, especially that second one, which kind of blends in with the environment, and I call horseshit because, like, come on, how the fuck do you see that normally? It's blending in. I miss this one a lot too. God, it's so dumb. And then the final one is Run It By You at the very beginning. And a lot of boxes are like this, but this is the first time I encountered it, and it's horseshit. At the very beginning, there's a stack of stairs, and you go down them. Turn back around after you go down the first step, and do that for every step until you hit the ground, because the boxes, they're not even on camera. Even if you pan the camera, you can't see these boxes. You turn around, face the wall of the stairs, and then just spin against the wall, and you will hear crates break on the wall of the stairs. And do this for every step on the way down on the very start of the level, because there's 2 on each wall of the stairs, totaling to I think 6. Again, you can't see them. Do you see them in this footage? I sure as shit don't. Oh, it's so dumb. And okay, so this was something I originally was gonna bitch about in the original version, the PS4 version of Crash 4, before the PS5 version came out. The animal riding controls at first are very loose. Again, especially if you jump from the Insane Trilogy and then immediately come to here. They are very loose. You will get used to it after a while, like a lot of things I've been saying. You will get used to it, but they are very loose. And originally, their hit detection was shit. I don't have footage for it now, because like I said, I recorded off the PS5 version and the PC version. But the original version, unless it wasn't patched in the PS4 version, or if it was, the original version, you had to be dead center in the boxes during the animal riding sections. If you were slightly to the left or slightly to the right, you're not hitting all the boxes. You would either hit just one somehow, or you would only hit half of them. Like, it's bullshit. Like, say there was a stack of 4 boxes, like that's formed a square. If you didn't hit it directly, like I said, you either only hit 1 or half of them, or 3 and miss the 4th one entirely. If you were going for the perfect relic and when you got to the animal riding section and you missed 1 box, oh my god, my first playthrough, I hated the animal riding sections. Xavier tried doing this too, and like he was trying to get the box gem, but because of how slippery and how stupid the hit detection used to be in the old version of Crash 4, he ended up using 50 of my lives. No, he used 100. He used 100 of my lives because, again, the old animal riding controls were bullshit. It's fixed now. You can hit anywhere on the stack of crates and they'll like all break, as it should have been from the start. But the original release before the patch, ugh. Levels can also get kind of repetitive. Like, There's the regular level, there's the inverted version, and if there's a Tawna, Dingodile, or Cortex level associated with that level, then there's a third time you play the level. And if you're getting everything, you have to replay these levels multiple times. So it does get kind of repetitive. That's only if you decide to marathon the level over and over again until you get everything. I personally recommend you pace yourself. If you can't get everything now and the level's starting to get repetitive, or you don't want it to get repetitive, go to another level, come back to it later if you're that determined to 100% the game, or God forbid 106% the game. Again, don't do it. And the most important thing I want to tell you folks, out of everything, this is no joke, the main reason I do not recommend you 106% this game. I got 2 words for you: time trials. These made me want to snap when I was originally playing this game. By the way, I got the platinum for this game because I'm fucking crazy. I mean, look at this face. I'm fucking nuts. But these time trials are the main reason why I would not recommend 106% in this game. Like, don't get me wrong. The other cons I mentioned before are a reason, but these are my personal reasons why I wouldn't recommend 106% in this game. The time trials that have been a staple since Crash 3. You do them, you at least get a gold relic, and then you get the true ending. You know, you get the Crash Dash at the end of the game to, you know, make the time trials a little easier to get. The Crash Dash is not a thing in this game. Instead, somebody at Toys for Bob thought it would be a wonderful idea to replace the old faithful only you have to do is hold down R2 Crash Dash with something called the triple spin. And how this spin works is that you have to press the square button in a certain rhythm 3 times to do this triple spin, which they want you to use to get the relics. And I know probably someone out there thinking, okay, well, I mean, it can't be too bad, especially if you only have to get the gold relics.
Wrong!
Here's the funny thing. Not only does this triple spin kind of suck compared to the Crash Dash, because again, you have to press square over and over again to even do the damn thing, compared to the Crash Dash where you only have to hold down R2 and run. You cannot get 106% or the true ending of the game, because it has 2 different endings, like 2 bonus endings. You cannot get them unless you platinum all of the levels. This game expects the world from you. You can't just gold them like the older games and the game is like, okay, yeah, gold, good enough. No. You have to platinum all the levels, platinum relic all the levels, just for the sake of fucking getting the 2 bonus endings, which I will admit, you get the first ending just from 100%ing this game. Like, for doing, like, say you don't want to do the time trials, but you did everything else. You got the gems, you got the color gems, and, like, you did the VHS tapes, which, you know, all in all, your first playthrough, yes, you will get mad, but I personally don't think it's all that bad once you get used to it. The first ending, I think, is cool. It kind of does, like, a Where Are They Now thing, where, like, it shows every villain and character and just, like, what are they doing after the events of the game. I love the ending. I think it's charming and funny. But the 106% ending for doing everything, including the goddamn time trials, goes back to what I said at the very beginning of this retrospective, where it's revealed that after Cortex gets yeeted into another dimension, he's just kind of chilling, minding his own business. It shows that Uka Uka is still alive and kicking. That's it. It's a very short ending, like a very short bonus ending, just to tell us something we kind of already knew anyway, that Uka Uka is alive. See you next game. That's what the 106% ending is. Just showing you something you probably already knew. I cannot stress enough, people. Do not 106% this game. If you're a masochist like me, where you got the platinum trophy, then by all means, go for it. Try it. But if you want my opinion, don't fucking do it. 106% is perfectly, like, possible. You will get mad still, especially due to, like, bullshit box placements like I mentioned before, but it's not as bad as that fucking shit cherry on top that is the time trial. And it's only because of the triple spin. I shit you not. If I had a Crash Dash and not this stupid fucking triple spin, I wouldn't be complaining as much. But because they replaced something that worked so well in the previous games with something that I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, it makes the time trials all that much harder. And the fact that I have to get a platinum on all of them to get that short ending? No, fuck that. I did that once, I got the platinum trophy. I am never 106%ing this game again, ever. Fuck the time trials, never again. Oh, God, my head. Oh, and I'm not even done yet. I still got a couple more things to talk about, but I'll sum these up really quick. This didn't happen to me during the recording. I think they patched this too. But just like the animal riding sections, there was this weird glitch that would happen when you're on like ice or like ice physics related things, where if you went too fast, jumped, and then got on something solid, the momentum from when you jump in the air still treats it as if you're on ice still, and you end up going a lot further than you normally do. Like, running on ground is still the same speed, but if you jump, it's as if you're still on ice, so you end up going further than you should, and you end up dying. It happened to me the most in the third to last world, where that happened mostly. Again, I don't have any footage for it to show it off because they probably patched it, and I'm playing the PS5 version, so it probably doesn't exist anymore. But that's the best way I can put it. It's just your momentum carries over when you jump as if you're still on ice. That's the best way to put it. And the load times on the original PS4 version, Wrath of Cortex bad. Like, PS2 Wrath of Cortex bad. Like, they last a long time. And one of the main reasons why I delayed this retrospective for the PS5 version, because I knew they'd be a lot quicker. Like, those load times lasted from anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds. And it was another reason why I lost my shit during the time trial bits, because if, no, not the time trial bits, when I was trying to get perfect Relic, because if I died and I reset the level, then I have to sit through another 20-second loading screen just to get back at the beginning and potentially try again, and every time I fucked up, I had to keep going through that same load screen again, and it's so annoying. Thankfully, since I have the PS5 version and the PC version, the load times are only a few seconds long. I am happy. I am not playing the PS4 version on a PS4 ever again after those experiences. Oh my god. I guess to wrap up things, I'll talk about the PC version. For the record, I recorded regular levels with the PS5 version, but I recorded the inverted levels with the PC version. There's really no difference between the two. The PS5 version loads faster than the PC version. I don't know if that's because of my build or if that's just how it is. The PC version isn't on Steam. You have to have a Blizzard account to download that version. But the main reason why I played the PC version and wanted to show it off was for the mods. I mean, like, some of these mods are good. Like, I downloaded a few costumes. I think a couple of my favorites, just because of how silly they look, is that you can play as Sonic, you can play as Mario, you can play as female Crash, Crashette, or one of my personal favorites, Thick Coco. And it's not even for what you think it is. I downloaded this mod just because of that stoner fucking face she has. I mean, look at that shit. She is baked off her mind. Also, just for the sake of going back to our Crash 3 playthrough, just to make a debut joke, ladies and gentlemen, debut 2.0. Watch out, she's gonna butt! Another mod that I can show off is that somebody took the time to take one of the nighttime stages from Sonic Unleashed and put it in Crash 4. So you're playing a nighttime Sonic Unleashed level as Crash. And is it weird to say that this actually works really well in a Crash format? Like, I like this, I really do. The mods on this game may not be a lot, but you know, it's something to show off. And another thing I put on was you can change Cortex so it looks like his Twin Sanity variant. Just for aesthetic alone and nostalgia, I rocked this Cortex a lot when I was recording footage for the PC version. But putting them side by side, it is weird seeing the Twin Sanity Cortex in the squash and stretch environment, but it's also fitting in the same way. If they were ever to remake Twin Sanity, I wouldn't mind if it looked like Crash 4 graphics and this is how it looked. I still think it looks good overall. As for my final thoughts, because I'm going nearly an hour and I still haven't learned how to shorten these retrospectives, but like, they're getting shorter and shorter by the minute. I'm getting better. All in all, could I recommend Crash 4 to you? Hell yeah, this game is wonderful. Like, if you're going from stage to stage, I love this game. I love this game a lot. No joke, I put it up there with Crash 2 and 3, which are two of my favorite Crash games of all time. It really is fun until you attempt to try to 100% or 106% it. Like, I went easy on 100%ing it because I'm technically going based off my second playthrough. But if I were going to based off my first playthrough, I wouldn't recommend it as much in terms of that regard, but it's still a fun game overall. If you're just playing it regularly, like just going from stage to stage, this game is fantastic. I can't complain about this game at all in that regard if you're just playing it normally. But if you're trying to do everything, don't do it. Don't do it. I can't stress that enough. I only give that 100% recommendation, and that's like a cautious recommendation, but never 106% it. Don't do it. But all in all, this is a fantastic game. Would recommend just playing it regularly. I need to stress that out. Just playing it regularly, I would highly recommend. Those are my thoughts on Crash 4. I almost said it's dick time. But that's my thoughts and opinions on Crash 4. It's about time. With all that said, y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching, and remember, I'm only okay. Crash, send us off with a crash dance.